Would you recognize danger if it looked like love? Because that's the question everyone is asking now. Not weeks ago, not after the headlines, but right now, as the sun sinks low behind the pines, and her phone lights up for the last time with his name on it. It was just after 6:45 p.m. She was barefoot in the kitchen, scrolling through the texts he'd sent her that afternoon. Sweet, careful, like always. Wear the red one tonight. You look soft in it. Don't be late. I made dinner. Outside, the sky had gone from gold to gray. Inside, her dog paced the hallway, agitated, or maybe sensing something she didn't. Her hair was still wet from the shower. The wine hadn't been opened yet. She was halfway into that red dress when she hesitated, just for a second, staring at her reflection like it might offer answers. But it didn't. Not then. Not yet. Her sister would later say she felt something in her chest that night. A kind of tightening, a pull, like grief arriving before the loss. And her best friend tried calling her 3 times before midnight. No answer. No read receipts. Just one weird status update that said, "He said he wants forever. I think he means it." She was seen leaving her apartment at 7:12 p.m. Security footage shows her locking the door, smiling faintly at someone off-screen. She carried a single overnight bag and wore red heels, even though she always said heels hurt her knees. That was the last confirmed sighting. She didn't show up to work the next morning. Didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't exist. Not in the way she used to. By noon, her voicemail was full. By nightfall, her apartment still held the wine she forgot to open. Her bed still made. Her dog still waiting. And her diary? Still under the mattress. Filled with pages no one had ever read. Until it was too late. This isn't just a love story gone wrong. This is what happens when love becomes a trap, and forever comes with a grave. What if the victim wasn't someone lost in the shadows, but someone just like you? Not perfect, not reckless, just hopeful, soft, the kind of person who forgave too much and paid for it quietly. Her name was Elise Monroe. She liked iced coffee in winter, oversized sweaters in summer. Her laugh didn't come easily, but when it did, it lingered in the air like music. She had a chipped front tooth she was embarrassed about, but only smiled bigger when someone pointed it out. She cried during insurance commercials. She never killed a spider. And she fell in love like it was the safest thing a person could do. That was the part no one could forget. How easily she trusted. She'd been through heartbreak before. 3 years ago, she'd moved back in with her mother after a breakup that left her with a storage unit full of someone else's promises. She swore she was done with love. Said it was a trick, a story people told themselves to feel less alone. But then he messaged her. It started with something harmless, a comment on a book she posted. He said, "I didn't think anyone else read that." She told her friends he seemed smart, a little intense, but in a good way. She liked that he asked real questions. Not just, "What's your favorite movie?" but, "What scared you as a child? What's your worst memory? Would you still love someone if they weren't who they said they were?" They texted for hours. Late-night calls where he whispered, "I feel like I already know you." She told her sister it felt fast but real. Maybe this is what love's supposed to feel like. But there were signs. Small things. Like how he hated when she left her location on. Or how he once got quiet for hours after she posted a picture in a dress he hadn't picked. He'd delete his messages when he was angry, then call her minutes later like nothing happened. And she excused it, because he brought her soup when she was sick. He knew how she liked her tea 3 sugars, never stirred. He kissed her hand in public. Called her mine. The kind of love that wraps around you like warmth, until it tightens. One night, her best friend caught her staring out the window at nothing. When asked what was wrong, Elise smiled, shrugged, and said, "He loves me too much sometimes. That's all." She said it like it was a compliment. But her mother noticed bruises Elise claimed came from bumping into furniture. Her boss said Elise had started coming in late, her eyes red, her stories thin. Still, she never said his name with fear, only softness, because she believed love could fix anything. even the things it broke. What's more dangerous than someone who hurts you? Someone who convinces you it's love. The shift didn't happen all at once. There wasn't a scream, or a slam, or a night she ran. There was just silence. And Elise had never feared silence. Until him. It started when he moved a toothbrush into her apartment without asking. Then a drawer. Then keys. He didn't say he was moving in, he just didn't leave. He'd say things like, "It's just easier this way. I sleep better next to you. You don't want me to go, do you?" And she didn't argue. Not really. She'd spent so long wanting to be chosen. She mistook possession for love. Then came the rules. Quiet ones. He didn't forbid her from seeing friends. He just made her feel guilty when she did. He didn't ban makeup. He just called it masking her real face. He didn't order her to stop posting selfies. He just said, "Who are you dressing up for, Elise? I'm right here." It wasn't the kind of abuse you see in movies. No raised hands. Just lowered eyes. Her world shrank one room at a time. Until it was just him. And her. And the quiet between them. Sometimes, she'd say she was tired. That's why she hadn't responded to texts. Other times, she'd smile too big and say, "He just really loves quality time." But her friends started noticing. One said she stopped laughing the way she used to. Another said her texts started sounding like someone else had typed them. Her sister asked if everything was okay. And Elise said, "Of course. He adores me. I'm lucky. Lucky." That's what she called it. Even when she stopped answering calls past 10 p.m. Even when she canceled a weekend trip because he needed her close. Even when she showed up to brunch with sleeves pulled over fresh scratches and claimed the cat had lashed out again. And when her best friend confronted her, asked her point blank, "Elise, is he hurting you?" She just stared for a moment too long, then smiled, and whispered, "No, he's just scared of losing me." As if that made it okay. As if fear was the same thing as love. But behind that smile, something had changed. Her voice was too quiet. Her hands trembled when she reached for her coffee. And in her purse, tucked deep beneath her lipstick and receipts, was a folded napkin, with 3 words scrawled in barely legible ink. "Don't trust him." She never said who wrote it, or why she kept it, but it was there, carried with her like a warning she wasn't ready to hear out loud. And she was slipping. Everyone saw it. But Elise, she still thought he loved her too much. That was the part she held on to, even as the air around her began to thin. What if the scariest thing about the end was that it didn't look like one? No sirens, no screams, no slammed doors or suitcase at the curb. Just a girl brushing her hair by the window, unaware she had only hours left to exist the way she always had. Elisa's last week was ordinary. Too ordinary. And everyone missed it. Monday, she brought her coworker a muffin, said she baked too many. Laughed at something on her phone but didn't show anyone what it was. Wore a scarf even though the day was warm. When asked if she was okay, she said, "Never better." Really. Tuesday, she skipped yoga for the 3rd time in a row. Texted her sister a photo of the lake house he'd booked for their weekend. Said, "Can you believe this place? He says he wants to start over. Maybe this is it." Her sister texted back, "That sounds like something someone says when they already messed up." Elise didn't reply. Wednesday, she had lunch alone. Left early. Told her boss she felt dizzy. That night, her neighbor swears they heard yelling. Then nothing. Not silence, that would be something. Just the kind of quiet you don't realize is too quiet until it's already been hours. Thursday, Elise sent her best friend a voice note. 37 seconds long. She said, "I know you don't like him. I get it. But I think he's really trying. I think I make him feel safe. That's important, right?" At the end, her voice broke for just a moment. But she cleared her throat. Laughed it off. Said, "Anyway, this weekend's gonna be good. I can feel it." It was the last time her voice was heard on record. Friday, her car was seen leaving her apartment complex at 6:48 p.m. Dashcam footage from a nearby street caught her red taillights turning east, toward the woods. She was driving. He was in the passenger seat. Neither of them smiled. They stopped at a gas station 20 miles out. She went in alone, bought gum and a bottle of water. The clerk remembered her, said she looked nervous, kept glancing at the car. Her receipt time-stamped 7:33 p.m. She never used her card again. At 8:12 p.m., they arrived at the cottage. A rental tucked into the trees near Lake Harrow. No nearby neighbors. No cell service. Just a cabin. A dock. A silence that pressed against the windows. She texted her sister one final time. Made it. He lit candles. Trying not to cry. There was no reply, because by the time her sister saw the message, Elisa's phone had already gone dark. When do you stop calling it a delay and start calling it a disappearance? Because the thing about Elise was, she was predictable. The kind of person who texted, "I'm 2 minutes away," and meant exactly 120 seconds. The kind who never ghosted, never forgot birthdays, never let calls ring twice. So when 24 hours passed with nothing, no texts, no posts, no red receipts, her sister just knew. And the moment she called the police, the first words she said were, "She didn't leave. She was taken." The responding officer didn't say much, didn't roll his eyes, but he asked, "Was there a fight? Any history of mental health issues? Maybe she just needed space." But that wasn't Elise. And the people who loved her, they didn't need proof. They needed answers. What they got instead was footage. 8:12 p.m., Friday. Security cam outside the Lake Harrow cottage flickered on briefly. A dusty lens. Poor lighting. But the timestamp burned clear. Elise stepped out of the driver's side. She stretched her arms like she was shaking off exhaustion, then paused, looked up at the cabin, tilted her head slightly, like something about it unsettled her. He exited the passenger side next, took her bag without speaking. She tried to smile. He didn't look back. They disappeared inside. 11:46 p.m., interior motion cam, back hallway. A faint outline of Elise crossing the kitchen in slippers. She poured a glass of water, stood by the window, stared out, didn't move for nearly 5 minutes. Behind her, he stood in the doorway, just watching, not touching, not speaking, just still. She didn't know he was there. That moment, frozen in grainy footage, felt like a warning. The kind of image you don't understand until it's too late. 2:02 a.m., no more movement detected. From that point on, the cameras captured nothing. Just empty rooms, a flickering hallway light, the shadows shifting slightly as the moon passed. And when officers arrived the next evening, after the landlord let them in, the cabin was spotless. Too spotless. The bed was made. 2 wine glasses rinsed and turned upside down. The suitcase Elise brought? Gone. But her necklace, the one she wore every day, was found on the nightstand, clasped shut, as if someone had placed it there deliberately. No sign of a struggle. No blood. Just absence. And something even worse. He was gone. The rental car was missing. His phone went straight to voicemail, and there was no record of him ever checking out. What they did find was a handwritten note tucked beneath the pillow. It wasn't signed, but it was hers, and it said, "If anything happens, it's not an accident. Please believe me." That was the moment the case changed. That was when it stopped being about someone who might have gone off the grid, and became the story of someone who'd trusted the wrong person to hold her heart. What if the place meant to bring you peace only echoed what was taken from you? By Sunday morning, the cottage at Lake Harrow had turned from a romantic escape to a crime scene, one that whispered more than it shouted. And the lake kept its secrets, but not all of them. 8:45 a.m., Sunday. Detective Serena Madsen stood at the dock with Elisa's mother. The water was still, not peaceful, still, like it was holding its breath. No birds, no boats, just the kind of silence that feels like it's listening. The cabin was sealed, but the air still smelled faintly of sandalwood and wine. On the coffee table, 2 empty glasses. In the sink, a single fork. On the fridge, a photo strip, 2 smiling faces pressed close together. But her eyes looked off camera. like she wasn't fully there. The lead investigator asked Elisa's mother, "Has she ever left for long before?" Her answer didn't come right away. She ran her thumb over the necklace recovered from the nightstand, then whispered, "No, she wouldn't even leave her dog overnight. If she's not answering, something's wrong." That was when they widened the perimeter. 12:13 p.m., dive search begins. 2 boats launched into the lake. The water was 18 feet deep in the center. Murky, cold, resistant. They dragged sonar. Trained dogs sniffed along the banks. One of them stopped, frozen, at a spot near the south dock. Barked twice, then sat. Divers marked the location. They didn't find Elise. Not that day. But they found something else. A silver ring. Engraved on the inside, "To Forever, J." Her sister confirmed it was a gift from him. She never took it off. Except now, it was found buried in silt and weeds, 20 feet from shore. And Elise? Still nowhere. 2:47 p.m., cell tower data pulled. His phone last pinged near Route 11 at 3:04 a.m. Saturday. Heading north, away from the lake. Away from her. He didn't report her missing. Didn't answer calls. Didn't contact her family. Didn't return to work. He just disappeared. But a traffic cam caught him, barely, exiting a side road in her car. Alone. No Elise in the passenger seat. Just his face caught in a blur of motion. Expressionless. Like nothing was wrong. 6:10 p.m., Elisa's car found. Abandoned behind a shuttered diner 2 counties over. Keys still in the ignition. Glove compartment emptied. But in the trunk, a blanket, faint traces of mascara, and a single strand of long, light brown hair taped to the lining, like it had been pulled, not fallen. And beneath the floor mat, a journal page, torn, smudged, nearly unreadable. Only one sentence remained intact. "He said I make him crazy, and someday he'll prove it." No one said the word murder yet. Not officially. But the temperature shifted. The tone in the detectives' voices lowered. Hope dimmed. And the lake, it just kept watching, holding whatever it still knew beneath its surface. Because Elise was still out there, somewhere. But everyone was starting to feel the truth. Whatever happened in that cottage wasn't love. It was something colder, something heavier, something that might never come fully to the surface. Do you know the exact second a love story turns into a horror film? It's not when the door slams. It's not when the screams start. It's when someone you loved truly, deeply stops being a person and becomes a question. For Emily's family, that question would echo for years. But on that final night, in that glowing cabin meant for romance, something snapped, and it would change everything. Emily's parents were the first to see the change in Daniel's face. That press conference, the one streamed across every news station in the country, was supposed to be about grief. But his expression never quite matched the words. The tears came too late. The trembling hands stopped too fast. And the smile, when it came, wasn't grief. It was satisfaction. Cold. Eerie. Wrong. He spoke of Emily like she was a misplaced coat. Like something forgotten, not someone cherished. And the nation noticed. Then came the footage. The gas station security camera caught them, just hours before her disappearance. Emily was laughing, holding 2 energy drinks, twirling her hair as she waited for him to pay. But Daniel, he was staring at her like a stranger, like a man who already knew what would happen when they got back to the cabin. Like the decision was already made. The investigators didn't stop. Not after the first lake search. Not after the second. It was what they found beneath the cabin that finally shattered the lie. A crawl space, freshly disturbed earth, a single high heel, and a journal. Emily's voice, scrawled in shaking handwriting, filled those final pages. "I thought love meant patience, but I think now, I was waiting to die. He touches me like I'm a problem. If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident." Her body was never recovered. But the evidence, her journal, the heel, the blood found beneath the floorboards, told enough. Daniel was arrested that fall. He claimed she left him, vanished, But he couldn't explain the missing carpet, the hidden bleach bottle, the fake text messages sent from her phone hours after she died. He couldn't explain the cameras he disabled, or why her engagement ring was found at the bottom of the lake, inside a locked box, weighted with bricks. They called it the honeymoon hollow case. But to her family it would always be something else. The last kiss that never came. The dress she never got to wear again. The girl who laughed at a gas station and never laughed again. This was her story. A love story rewritten as a horror. And now you know the truth. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret, because these are the stories that hide behind closed doors. The ones that make you check your locks and question the people you think you know. Until next time, stay watching, because the veil is thinner than you think.